Chapter 41 Yin-Yang Eyes of Ice and Fire, Part 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Suddenly, Douluo clutched his chest, a sharp pain shooting through him. He winced. Crap, the snake venom's acting up, he shot Huolai a slightly panicked look. Hua, buddy, make yourself at home in my garden. Some of these plants are seriously poisonous. Be careful. And stay away from those hot and cold springs. I tossed a 50,000-year soul beast in there once. It vanished in seconds, not even a bone left. Listen, gotta run. You guys do your thing. With that, Douluo practically teleported to the cliffside cave on the other side of the hill, where the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire was located, hoping to suppress the toxins. He could still keep it together, barely. But if the venom really kicked in and he started spasming, it'd be embarrassing. Best to avoid a scene. The sudden exit left the others a bit bewildered. Xiaoyang, are you sure you want to jump in that thing? It sounds crazy dangerous. After Douluo bolted, Huolai frowned, turning to Mu Yang. Mu Yang had told him about his plan for the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire, claiming it was a mission from the majestic figure in his dream. Huolai hadn't known much about the place back then, so he hadn't given it much thought, but now it seemed like a recipe for disaster. He trusted in that higher power, but couldn't shake his worries. Relax. That spring breeds the ice and fire fairy herbs. Once we eat them, we'll be immune to the water's temperature. No problem. Mu Yang brushed off his concerns. Leaping into the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire without those herbs would be suicide. Even a powerhouse like DouluoDalu would be in serious trouble, but with those complementary herbs, it wouldn't be suicide, it'd be an ice and fire body transformation. Sure, his soul power might be a tad lower than Tang San's back in the day, but his physical condition was definitely better. If Tang San could handle it, so could he. Alright, man, you do you. Huolai nodded after a moment. The great god had orchestrated this whole herb-eating and bathing plan. His Majesty was practically a god, so Mu Yang should be safe. Mu Yang, mentally reviewing the details of the herbs, strolled through the garden, carefully searching. Soon, a delicate fragrance, unlike any other flower or plant, reached his nose. He looked toward the source and spotted a large, light pink flower growing at the intersection of the red and white springs. Leafless, with a stem about 3 feet tall, the flower itself was enormous, over a foot in diameter. Its stamens were a light purple, and each petal looked like crystal. Even from over 30 feet away, Mu Yang could smell its faint fragrance. The fragrant Douluo immortal product. He recognized it instantly and started walking toward it. After a few steps, he noticed something new, a light pink energy shield, 30+ feet in diameter, centered on the flower. The fragrant Douluo immortal product was a poison's worst enemy, capable of neutralizing all toxins. The shield was its effective range. After finding the flower, Mu Yang continued his search. Over an hour later, he'd combed the entire Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire, finding all the fairy herbs born from the springs, an orchid with 8 snow-white, crystalline petals, radiating nobility and transcendence, the 8-petal fairy orchid, a vine-like plant with finely combed, golden leaves exuding a rich fragrance, radiating magnificence, the Douluo tulip, the huge, gorgeous purple chrysanthemum. With furry petals, taller than the petals, and stamens that shone with a golden light, the Tongtian chrysanthemum, a simple style, the top like a coxcomb, exuding fiery energy, the whole body red, the coxcomb phoenix sunflower, looking like a peony, with red stems and leaves, and a black stone connected to the rhizome. Only palm-sized white flowers, the acacia heartbroken red, the king of fairy herbs. Green all over, with a few drops of transparent water on the leaves. Unremarkable, but it greatly improved mental power. The longing dew. The plant was crystal white, like a spotless narcissus jade muscle bone, like a green lotus and white lotus root. The whole body was snow white, with slender and curved stems and leaves, like the neck of a snow-white swan. Beautiful, but dangerous, the snow-colored swan kiss. Then there were the targets that Mu Yang was going to take, which were extremely cold and hot poisonous fairy herbs, the 8-angled black ice grass and the fire apricot, including the fragrant Douluo fairy product. These 11 fairy herbs have all been obtained by Tang San in the original work, in addition to these 11 plants, there are other immortal herbs in the Yin-Yang eyes of ice and fire, such as the earth dragon golden gourd, the Hunyuan immortal grass, the black jade magic bamboo, the starry spirit pearl, etc. However, just as Mu Yang had expected, only the 11 immortal herbs that Tang San had obtained in the original novel were mature, and the other immortal herbs, including the earth dragon golden melon, were all in the immature stage. Then, Mu Yang pulled out the gold and jade items he had prepped from his soul guide storage bracelet and began harvesting. After some effort, he had a full 10 herbs, including the not quite ripe earth dragon golden gourd, besides the 8-angled black ice grass and fiery apricot, which he needed to grab and eat right away. Of course, he wasn't greedy. With the exception of the special acacia heartbroken red, he left the roots or seeds of the other 9, the remaining immature herbs he left alone. First, he had enough. Second, he was leaving some for Douluo. He'd basically ripped him off by taking so many herbs while the old guy was clueless. The least he could do was leave something behind. Besides, he remembered that Douluo's talent was okay, nothing amazing. Without some luck, she'd probably never become a 9-ring title Douluo. Leaving her some herbs would at least guarantee her that level of power. He wouldn't tell Douluo about the herbs' effects yet. He'd wait until he was stronger, or Douluo might try to take them back. Thanks to my friend Sanchin Xiaolofang for the monthly ticket. Thanks to my friends Destroyed King, Guyu, 202206061636325572, Shu I'm going to send it, Gentleness when will it be given to me, 201706170839522243, Hunzi in the Wind, Hongmeng Lord, and Tudo Tianzun for their recommendation tickets. Please collect, recommend, and vote for the monthly ticket. Chapter 42 Yin-Yang Eyes of Ice and Fire, Part 2. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Then, Mu Yang stripped down to his boxers beside the ice and fire spring, carefully placing his clothes and soul guide storage bracelet on the bank. He was about to use the 8 aniseed mysterious ice grass and the fiery apricot, so he needed to jump into the ice and fire spring. The extreme temperatures of the spring water would ruin ordinary clothes and soul guides. Otherwise, his entire stash of goodies in the storage bracelet, including the fairy herbs he'd just grabbed, would be history. You ready? Huolai, clutching an iron dagger and a piece of jade, asked, his voice serious. Let's do this. Mu Yang glanced at the 8 aniseed mysterious ice grass and the fiery apricot a few yards away and nodded. Huolai's expression hardened. He aimed the iron dagger at the base of the black ice grass. With a flick of his wrist, he threw the dagger, *swoosh star *thunk star, the dagger sliced through the air, a brief glint of cold light, and the black ice grass tumbled onto the bank. Instantly, a wave of cold rolled out, frosting the nearby plants, *swoosh star, Huolai tossed the jade, cleanly severing the fiery apricot. A wave of intense heat followed, instantly withering the plants around it. Huolai took a deep breath, focused on the black ice grass, and channeled his soul power. He lifted his hand, and the ice grass rose into the air, flying over the spring to land beside the fiery apricot. As soon as the 2 herbs touched, the 8 aniseed ice grass glowed a faint red, while the fiery apricot became shrouded in a light white mist. These 2 herbs are different. They both have intense ice and fire properties and are toxic, but while they're both dangerous, they balance each other out. When cut with iron and jade and brought together, their auras would counteract each other, neutralizing the toxicity, but this only lasts for a few seconds. After that, their medicinal properties vanish, making them useless. Without hesitation, Mu Yang snatched up both herbs and swallowed them whole. The 2 herbs, representing fire and ice, are normally incompatible, but after their auras neutralized each other, they weren't as overwhelming. They dissolved into saliva, sliding down his throat, leaving a fragrant aftertaste. Once they hit his stomach, their powerful effects kicked in fast. Before Mu Yang could even savor the flavor, his body started to convulse. Then, an ice blue light flared from his feet, quickly turning him completely blue. Next, a red light pulsed, turning Mu Yang into a walking, talking lobster. The back and forth between blue and red was disturbing. In Mu Yang's mind, ice and fire sounded great, but right. Now, Mu Yang didn't think so. This wasn't just uncomfortable. This was flat-out torture. Luckily, Mu Yang's soul power was strong, and his training with the Taiyin refining spirit hadn't been a waste. His willpower was significantly improved, so he was barely holding on. While he still had control, Mu Yang ran sun refining body, guiding the energy of the fairy grass through his body to temper his flesh. Staggering towards the edge of the spring, he was right in front of the Yin-Yang eye of ice and fire. One more step, and he'd fall in. He felt the full effects of the herbs hitting him, the ice and fire energy spiking wildly. Without a second thought, he lunged forward, diving into the spot where the ice-cold Yin spring met the scorching Yang spring. *splash ***, red and white water erupted as Mu Yang plunged headfirst into the spring, taking the herbs and then jumping into the ice and fire. Yin-Yang eye requires perfect timing. If he'd jumped in too early, before the herbs' effects took hold, it wouldn't have been ice and fire refining body but suicide. The spring water, too extreme even for tidal Douluos, would have killed him instantly, leaving nothing behind. But if the herbs took full effect before he jumped, he would have passed out on the shore and missed his chance, resulting in failure. After all, without the spring suppression, he couldn't withstand the intense ice and fire energy of the two herbs alone. Mu Yang had expected pain coming here, but he had still underestimated it. Even though the herbs had neutralized each other, they were raging inside his body now. Compared to Mu Yang's soul power, the medicinal power in the herbs was staggering. The energy unleashed when ice and fire clashed was overwhelming. Soon after falling in, Mu Yang lost consciousness, sinking beneath the surface. Unbeknownst to him, sun body refining continued running, guiding the ice and fire energy in his body to temper him. Plus, this ice and fire energy wasn't just plain soul power. It both strengthened and nourished him. While Mu Yang disappeared into the spring, Wuhu breathed a sigh of relief. Even though Mu Yang had sunk, Wuhu could see that the spring, unbearable even for tidal Douluos, wasn't harming him. The great god must have this all figured out. It is I who am ignorant, Wuhu thought to himself. Chapter 43. You are electricity, you are light. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time crawled by, and before they knew it, the moon hung high in the sky. A thick fog obscured the stars and moon, but the Yin-Yang eyes of ice and fire shone brightly. The red and white light from the Yangquan and Yin Quan, though not as bright as the sun, illuminated the area around the springs. Suddenly, Wuhu, who had been watching the springs intently, noticed ripples on the once calm surface. Then, a figure surfaced, stark naked, facing the sky like a newborn chick. Wuhu grinned as he saw Mu Yang emerge, but the next second, his expression turned strange. Mu Yang's fiery red hair had turned ice blue. Could his martial soul have transformed? Wuhu wondered. The martial soul significantly influences a soul master, even impacting their personality to some degree. Of course, it's not absolute. Otherwise, Qiang Sunji, with his sacred six-winged angel martial soul, wouldn't have committed his atrocities. Besides personality, the martial soul can also affect appearance, with hair color being a prominent indicator. Blazing Academy research showed that if a parent has red hair and a fire-type martial soul, their child might still awaken a fire-type martial soul even without red hair. However, red hair guaranteed a fire-type awakening. Mu Yang's red hair was linked to his Naruto martial soul. Now, it's blue. Clearly, the fairy herbs caused his Naruto martial soul to mutate and evolve, likely into an ice attribute one, and it might not just be the Naruto spirit. His Ginseng spirit, originally without attributes, might have also mutated. Wuhu was still confused. The fire-attributed Hokage spirit consumed fire and ice fairy grass. Fire plus ice, how did only ice remain? Where did the fire go? Xiao Yang, wake up! Shaking off his confusion, Wuhu called out to Mu Yang, who was still unconscious. Mu Yang was trapped in a nightmare. He was in an unfamiliar world. Flaming meteorites rained down, the earth cracked with violent roars, and molten lava gushed forth, painting everything red. A wave of heat rushed toward him, evaporating the moisture on his body. Mu Yang could smell his own flesh burning. The lava engulfed everything, and Mu Yang, with nowhere left to stand, was submerged. Then, in an instant, he was somewhere else, the meteorites and lava gone. A blizzard raged, bringing biting cold and countless snowflakes. Each snowflake, the size of a palm, flew like a razor-sharp ice blade, tearing Mu Yang, frozen solid, to shreds. The scene shifted again, the blizzard vanishing, only for meteorites and lava to return. Ice and fire alternated endlessly. After what felt like forever, just when Mu Yang felt broken by the torment of this ice and fire world, a voice, like a beacon of hope, reached him. Xiao Yang, wake up. Dazed, Mu Yang opened his eyes. He was no longer in the lava fields or the blizzard. He saw the Yin-Yang eye of ice and fire under the night sky, and Huolai standing on the shore. So, I'm alive. He looked at the familiar scenery and then turned to Huolai, his eyes full of emotion. At that moment, his uncle, his savior, seemed taller and more majestic than ever. Mu Yang, you're my rock, my guiding light, my everything. Xiao Yang, do you feel any different? After Mu Yang got out of the water and dressed, Huolai glanced at his ice-blue hair and asked. Amazing. I feel incredible. Mu Yang ran a hand through his hair, taking the 8 aniseed mysterious ice grass and the fiery apricot hadn't increased his soul power. He was still a level 22 great soul master, but he felt a significant boost to his physical strength. If he kept training like this, his third soul ring could be close to 10,000 years old, maybe at least 7 or 8,000, besides physical strength. He was now immune to ice and fire. Simple ice and fire attacks wouldn't hurt him anymore. Of course, being 100% immune had its limits. He could probably withstand any ice and fire attack, even from a titled Douluo, but god-level attacks would definitely be beyond his immunity. However, the improvement in physical fitness and immunity weren't his biggest concern. He had sun body refining, so his physical condition was bound to improve. And the immunity was only useful against ice or fire spirit masters. What mattered most was the improvement in his talent and the hidden power. The immortal herbs would provide for future spirit power cultivation. The herbs contained massive energy, more than a touring great spirit master could fully refine. After improving his physique and granting him ice and fire immunity, most of their potency remained hidden in his body. This latent power would be released as he continued to cultivate, accelerating his spirit power growth. That's why Tang San and the others, even without counting the Sea God assessment, improved their spirit power faster than other genius spirit masters of their generation after taking the immortal herbs. Mu Yang noticed a few strands of ice-blue hair hanging down. He squinted, trying to pull the hair down, but it was still blue. He grabbed a mirror from his soul guide storage bracelet. He stared, wide-eyed, at the handsome boy with short ice-blue hair in the mirror. Red hair gone, replaced by blue. Where did his fiery red hair go? Chapter 44 Fire with Ice Attributes. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. At that moment, Mu Yang was a bit disoriented. He'd always known that consuming spirit herbs could potentially transform and evolve his martial soul, but that depended on the herb being highly compatible. His hair, unlike his father's black, was red like his mother's, a trait inherited from his Hokage martial soul. Now, it was blue. Clearly, his Hokage martial soul had transformed. Could it be that the 8 anise mysterious ice grass and the fiery apricot, intended to complement each other, were actually a perfect match for his Hokage martial soul? But something felt off. The Hokage martial soul was inherently fire-based. Even with a mutation, it should evolve into an even stronger fire type. How did it become ice blue? Xiao Yang, your martial soul must have mutated. Show it to me. Huolai chuckled, snapping back to reality. Mu Yang nodded, summoning his Hokage martial soul. A blue light enveloped Mu Yang, and as his soul power surged, an ice-blue figure materialized behind him. After a moment of scrutiny, Mu Yang realized that aside from the color shift from orange-red to ice-blue, and the attribute change from fire to ice, the transformed martial soul looked nearly identical to its previous form. Just a simple attribute change. Huolai pondered after a close look, stroking his chin. It feels much stronger, Anne. Mu Yang trailed off, extending his right hand. He channeled his soul power, and an ice-blue flame crackled to life in his palm, radiating intense cold. Huolai stared at the icy flame, momentarily speechless. Ice attribute fire? He finally asked, unsure. Well, that's a new one. In Huolai's understanding, fire was all about burning, bursting, and heat. Cold didn't even enter the equation. But right here, reality was getting a rewrite. I guess so, Mu-Yang agreed. Compared to Huolai's limited experience, Mu-Yang, a veteran of countless novels, wasn't nearly as surprised, so, it was fire that wasn't exactly fire. Maybe this was a first for Douluo continent, but plenty of strange fires existed over in the Duki continent. Still, the Hokage martial soul's transformation seemed to be more than just a shift from hot to cold flame. Xiao Yang, reel in your martial soul, let's get out of here, Huolai said after a pause. Aside from his wife, kids, and the 3 vice presidents of Blazing Academy, no one knew about Mu Yang's second martial soul. Even though Douluo seemed friendly, Huolai didn't dare trust him completely. It was best to keep Mu Yang's second martial soul a secret, plus, Mu Yang's change in hair color would immediately suggest a spirit transformation. Combined with their inquiry about exotic herbs, Douluo might deduce the significance of what they'd picked. To avoid complications, it was best to leave while Douluo was away. Shouldn't we tell by phosphorus Douluo? Mu Yang asked, dismissing the evolved Hokage spirit behind him. Just a quick note will do. Huolai waved it off, keeping Mu Yang's twin spirits under wraps and preventing Douluo from realizing the herb's true value was more important than proper etiquette. Besides, Douluo wasn't even around, so it wasn't like they were being deliberately rude. Minutes later, Huolai and Mu Yang were gone, leaving behind a boldly lettered wooden sign by the ice and fire spring, and, of course, before leaving, Mu Yang made sure to grab the 9th grade purple fungus. It wasn't a spirit grade herb, but it helped Yu Xiaojiang break through his soul power limit in the original story, so it clearly had something going for it. Maybe it wouldn't help an 89th level soul Douluo hit level 90, but it should push a 79th level soul saint past the bottleneck to level 80. Bringing it back would probably give Blazing Academy another 8-ring soul Douluo. Over an hour later, well away from the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire, Huolai landed with Mu Yang in the forest. Let's test this out and see what this ice attribute fire is all about, Huolai said. After sensing with his mental power that they were alone, he was genuinely curious about Mu Yang's new fire. It wasn't about power, he'd just never seen anything like it. All right. Mu Yang nodded, but instead of summoning the evolved Naruto spirit, he released his Ginseng spirit. The essence of the 8 wastelands, replenishing. Wait, did the Ginseng spirit evolve too? Just as he started chanting a spell to give himself a blood-replenishing ginseng to fill his stomach, Mu Yang realized he was off. Looking down, he saw that his Ginseng spirit had mutated just like the Naruto spirit. After evolving, the Ginseng spirit was still just over 4 inches long, but its appearance had changed dramatically. The 3 green ginseng leaves with blue and red lines on top, which had been attached to the first and second soul rings, turned into 2 palm-shaped compound leaves, one red and one blue. Like exquisite carvings of high-quality red and blue jade, the brown leaf stems, earthy yellow ginseng body, and similarly colored ginseng whiskers had all transformed into white jade, resembling the finest mutton fat jade. Additionally, the full white jade ginseng body now had 2 circles of lines, one red and one orange. Even the ginseng martial spirit evolved. Huolai couldn't help but be stunned by Mu Yang's dramatically altered ginseng martial spirit. Talk about hitting the jackpot. The Hokage martial spirit was undeniably a top-tier beast spirit. If it could be twinned with the Hokage spirit, that meant Mu Yang's ginseng spirit was also top quality. Otherwise, a strong/weak combination wouldn't work. And if the ginseng spirit was already considered top quality, its evolution might just have made it the most powerful food-type martial spirit on the continent. After all, food-type soul masters were rare, high-level ones even more so. The existing inheritance for food-type martial souls was limited, let alone Mu Yang's mutant ginseng spirit that had evolved again on top of already being top quality. Xiaoyang, have the 2 soul skills of your ginseng spirit changed? Huolai asked immediately. When a martial spirit evolves, the soul skills naturally change with it. The type might stay the same, but the effect would definitely be stronger. Chapter 45, Ice and Fire Fairy Jade Ginseng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jade, the essence of all things. Orange Jade, the essence of all things. As Mu Yang chanted the new soul curse after his martial soul mutated, his first and second soul rings flashed. Soul power surged, and 2 miniature jade ginseng, one red and one orange, materialized. Mu-Yang raised an eyebrow, noticing the stark color changes. Originally, the soul-returning ginseng was blue, and the blood-replenishing ginseng was red. Now, the soul-returning ginseng was red, and the blood-replenishing ginseng was orange. Mu-Yang figured that his first through seventh soul skills would likely produce ginseng reflecting the 7 colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple, in that order. After swallowing both pieces of ginseng, Mu-Yang carefully assessed their effects. He turned to Huolai and said, "The effects are the same, but much stronger now." Also, the soul-returning ginseng used to last a day before degrading. Now, the red soul-returning ginseng keeps for 3 days. The blood-replenishing ginseng was good for 2 days, but the orange blood-replenishing ginseng lasts 5. After all, it's a 1,000-year soul skill. Although the blood-replenishing ginseng is different from the soul-returning ginseng, they can't really be compared, but based on shelf life, the blood-replenishing ginseng is better. 3 days and 5 days. Not bad at all. Huolai nodded, impressed by the storage time. Food-type soul masters are rare, but he'd met some. As far as he knew, century-old soul power food generally lasted only a day for healing or soul power restoration. Mu-Yang's evolved ginseng martial soul-producing red soul-returning ginseng that lasts 3 days, 3 times longer than similar century-old foods, spoke volumes about the martial soul's potential. Huolai suggested, "You should give this martial spirit a name." A powerful martial spirit deserved a worthy name. The Haotian hammer, known as the world's #1 martial spirit, wouldn't have the same impact if it were just called Iron Hammer or Hammer. How about Ice Fire Immortal Jade Ginseng? Mu-Yang mused. As the wielder of the mutated ginseng martial spirit, Mu-Yang knew it had gained both ice and fire attributes. With those dual attributes, its evolution from immortal herbs, and its jade-like appearance, Ice Fire Immortal Jade Ginseng seemed fitting. Excellent. The strongest food-type martial spirit on the continent, Ice Fire Immortal Jade Ginseng. Huolai said with a smile. Mu-Yang looked a little embarrassed. The strongest food-type martial spirit. Maybe later, when he was a food-type titled Douluo. It was too early to brag about it now, but if the martial soul was called Ice Fire Immortal Jade Ginseng, the first and second soul skills needed new names too. He settled on Red Jade Soul Reviving Ginseng and Orange Jade Blood Building Ginseng. Then, Mu-Yang recalled the Fire and Ice Immortal Jade Ginseng martial spirit and summoned the evolved Hokage martial spirit, ready to explore the mystery of the ice-attributed flame. Though twin martial spirits, he couldn't use them simultaneously. No twin martial soul master ever had, apparently. The only person to manage it was that Hokage who condensed complementary Yin-Yang soul cores. Mu-Yang's twin martial spirits were unique though, since one was a food type. It didn't matter much if he could use them together, so long as he prepared the soul-powered food in advance. Ice blue soul power glowed, and an icy blue flame appeared in Mu-Yang's palm. With a flick, the flame shot out, landing on a bush. Whoosh! The flame spread rapidly, engulfing the bush. Strangely, the flame was ice blue, not orange-red, and emitted a chilling cold. The surrounding air temperature dropped noticeably. Soon, the bush was ash, and the icy blue flames died, leaving only white residue. Only fire, no ice. Looking at the white ash and the unfrozen ground, Mu-Yang frowned. He thought his mutated Hokage martial spirit was pure ice, but it was neither pure ice nor pure fire. It had ice's nature and fire's form, making it some kind of ice-fire hybrid. Xiaoyang, it seems your Hokage martial spirit is best suited for a strong attack build. Huolai said. Control was usually best for ice-type martial spirits soul masters. Control-type soul masters were the strongest. Given similar conditions, you could do both control and strong attack, but Mu-Yang's ice-attributed Hokage martial soul seemed ineffective in that regard. Huolai had seen the power of Mu-Yang's ice blue flame. While stronger than the original Hokage flame, it lacked a freezing effect, and ice-type soul masters lacking a freezing effect were unsuitable for control. Strong attack is fine. Mu-Yang wasn't bothered. The world said control was strongest, but Mu-Yang thought strong attack was king. The 3 most powerful, invincible figures, Qian Daolu, Tang Chen, and Bo Saishi, were all strong attack-type soul masters, and aside from Bibi Dong, who was a control type in name only, there were no famous control-type titled Douluos with soul power above level 95, besides. With the ice and fire fairy Jade Ginseng martial soul, Mu-Yang preferred to be a strong attacker anyway. Mu-Yang, a kid playing with fire? Nope. The romance of wizardry. Yep. Chapter 46, Holy Shadow of Ice Flame. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Not bad, Xiaoyang. Your cold fire is as powerful as the flame of a regular three-ring fire soul master. Huolai's assessment of Mu-Yang's ice blue flame was spot on. Keep in mind that Mu-Yang is only a two-ring great soul master, still far from the three-ring level, plus, his mutated Hokage spirit hasn't even absorbed any soul rings yet. Once he gets his first and second, it'll only get stronger, making that ice blue flame even more intense. This flame isn't like most either. It's incredibly sticky. Once it latches on, it's tough to shake unless you burn whatever it stuck to or overpower it with a higher level soul power. Compared to before the mutation, Mu-Yang's Hokage spirit is on a whole new level. The power of a three-ring fire soul master. Mu-Yang thought, raising his eyebrows. He closed his eyes, focusing intensely. Huolai looked puzzled. Just as he was about to speak, a surge of ice blue soul power erupted from Mu-Yang, then, a circle of that light spread rapidly outward from him, instantly engulfing an area over 30 feet wide. Domain power. Huolai's eyes widened as the ice blue domain washed over him in disbelief. He didn't have a domain himself, but he'd heard of them, even witnessed one, over 20 years ago, before he was Dean of Blazing Academy. He'd led the Blazing team to the Soul Master competition finals in Wuhu City and seen the angel domain unleashed by Qiang Sunji, the Pope of the Soul Hall at the time. Mu-Yang's ice blue domain was definitely weaker than Qiang Sunji's, but there was no doubt it was the power of a domain. Are the fairy herbs really this powerful? He wondered. They not only improve cultivation potential and transform the martial soul, but they also awaken a talent domain. Actually, Huolai was mistaken. The herbs were amazing, but the main reason Mu-Yang was experiencing such a radical change after taking the 8-angled black ice grass and fiery apricot was their compatibility with his spirit. Like Tang San, whose blue silver grass and clear sky hammer weren't as compatible with the herbs, Mu-Yang gained much more. While they both improved their cultivation potential, Tang San's spirits remained the same, and he didn't awaken any domain power. Instead, he gained ice and fire immunity, which helped him more than it did Mu-Yang. Xiaoyang, what does your domain do? Huolai asked, barely containing his excitement. An ice blue flame flickered in Mu-Yang's palm again. After careful concentration, he said, the power of the ice blue flame has increased significantly, and my control over it is much better. As he spoke, the flame morphed into a tiny ice blue figure, then shifted into various little animals. Mu-Yang realized his domain was limited, likely due to his low strength and the fact it hadn't fully awakened. Besides enhancing the flame's control, it mostly just amplified it, but that amplification was huge, boosting it by a whopping 50%. It was a simple effect, but for Mu-Yang, who was planning to use his mutated Hokage spirit as a turret, it was perfect. A mage with an attack buff was exactly what he wanted. An attack boost? That's great. Your mutated Hokage spirit is perfect for a strong, offensive style. And according to the Academy's research, even if a low-level soul master awakens a domain, they can't fully utilize its power. For example, the Angel Clan, who inherit the six-winged angel spirit in Spirit Hall, can use the angel domain after awakening it, but before reaching the seven-ring spirit saint, even with the domain, a six-winged angel master can only challenge one level higher. Like a 5-ring fighting a 6-ring, or a 6-ring fighting a 7-ring, however, once they hit the 7ring, the angel domain truly awakens. Even at the beginning of the 7th ring, they can rival high-level soul Douluo. Some exceptional ones can even fight across 2 levels, matching the strength of a 9-ring title Douluo. The domain's not strong enough. Huolai wasn't worried. Mu-Yang was only a 2-ring great soul master, and his soul power was still weak. As long as the spirit was powerful, the awakened talent domain would be good. Besides, there were few title Douluo and even fewer soul masters with domain power. Having a domain was good enough, they couldn't be picky about its effects. Xiaoyang, your mutated Hokage spirit is one of the most powerful beast spirits on the continent. You need to pick a name for it. Huo Lai said, smiling. The ice attribute flame will be called Ice Flame. And the spirit will be named Ice Flame Holy Shadow. After thinking about it, Mu Yang chose the name. As for the domain of the Ice Flame Holy Shadow, it's the Ice Flame domain, and the domain skill that improves Ice Flame control and amplifies its effect. He named it Ice Flame Amplification. Ice Flame Holy Shadow. I like it. After considering it, Huo Lai nodded. Alright, let's head back. He couldn't wait to return to Blazing Academy. Mu Yang's transformation after taking the herbs was incredible, and they had harvested a good number of them, enough for everyone. Could he soon become a titled Douluo, respected by everyone? Maybe in the future, Blazing Academy could have 5 Douluos. After all, Mu Xie, Huo Wushuang, and Huo Wu all had innate soul power at level 7. They were rare geniuses, and with the herbs and the extreme flame meditation method, becoming 9-ring title Douluo shouldn't be a problem, right? Dean Hua thought it was time to merge Blazing Fire Academy with Tianshui and Shenfeng, reorganizing them into the Element Academy. Chapter 47 I, Mu Yang, swear to heaven that I will never lie to anyone. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. That evening, Mu Yang and his buddies rolled back to Blazing Fire Academy after their trip to Sunset Forest. No sooner had they gotten back than Huo Lai summoned Mu Xie, Huo Wu, and Huo Wushuang to the underground chamber. Dude, why'd your hair turn blue? Huo Wu asked, studying Mu Yang's ice blue hair with a curious look. Let's just say I got lucky, and my spirit evolved. Mu Yang grinned, a smile playing on his lips. Your spirit evolved. Huo Wu's expression turned quizzical, completely ignoring Mu Yang's boastful comment. Like her, Mu Yang's red hair was a result of the fire aspect of his Naruto spirit, but no matter how a Naruto spirit evolved, it couldn't change hair color, could it? The only soul masters with blue hair, aside from genetics, were those who had ice or water spirits. Could Naruto, originally a fire spirit, have somehow morphed into a water or ice type? Water shadow? Ice shadow? No way. That completely breaks the rules of spirit evolution. Xiaoyang, show us your Hokage spirit. Come on, let's see it. Mu Xie piped up. Ice Flame Holy Shadow, activate. Mu Yang nodded slightly, then with a low shout, he unleashed the Ice Flame Holy Shadow spirit. In a flash, a blast of ice blue spirit power erupted, and a human-shaped shadow of the same color materialized behind Mu Yang. The moment the Ice Flame Holy Shadow spirit appeared, a bone-chilling air washed over the room, and the temperature in the spacious chamber plummeted. Holy cow, it really did turn into an ice spirit. Huo Wu's eyes nearly popped out of her head as she felt the icy air emanating from the Ice Flame Holy Shadow spirit. She was speechless. Even though the spirit's elemental type and color had changed, the Ice Flame Holy Shadow's shape and appearance were clearly related to the original Naruto spirit. No one could deny their connection. Bro, guess who's relying on you from now on? Huo Wushuang grabbed Mu Yang's arm, trying to keep a straight face but failing. Yup. Big bro, please protect your little sis. Snapping out of it, Huo Wu threw her arms around Mu Yang's neck and mussed up his hair. Hey! Hands off the hair. Mu Yang swatted Huo Wu's hand away, clearly annoyed. What gives? You're my brother. Can't a girl hitch a ride? Huo Wu feigned offense. Mu Yang waved his hand. Sure, hop on. But you gotta wait 20 years, okay? 20 years was a joke, of course. 20 years to become a good thigh to latch onto was far too long. After all, following the original story, 20 years down the line, the big players wouldn't be just titled Douluo, but gods who had transcended mortality and claimed divine thrones. But what? Huo Wu pressed. Looks like we're getting a new sister soon. Mu Yang winked at Huo Lai. In an age when gods were scarce, a 9 rings titled Douluo was definitely top tier. You're incorrigible. Huo Lai rolled his eyes. Hee. Grinning, Mu Yang pulled 3 labeled jade boxes out of his spirit storage bracelet and handed them to Huo Lai, Mu Xie, and Huo Wu, respectively. Earth Dragon Pumpkin, an Earth-type wonder herb, perfect for Earth-type and Dragon Spirit Masters. 8-Petal Fairy Orchid, another wonder herb. It's mild and gentle, strengthens the body, and cleanses impurities. Great for any Spirit Master. Coxcomb Phoenix Sunflower, a pure Yang wonder herb, perfect for Fire-type Spirit Masters. Mu-Yang gave the Earth Dragon Pumpkin to Huolai, the 8-Petal Fairy Orchid to Musia, and the Coxcomb Phoenix Sunflower to Wuhu. The 8-Petal Fairy Orchid wasn't the perfect fit for Musia, but it was the best he could do. He didn't have any wonder herbs geared toward Fire-type Soul Masters. The younger the Soul Master, the stronger the effect of wonder herbs, so between Aunt Musia and older cousin Wuhu, Mu-Yang gave the Coxcomb Phoenix Sunflower to Wuhu. Still, the 8-Petal Fairy Orchid was no slouch, at least it could put Musia on track to becoming a titled Douluo. Hey! What about your favorite brother? Wuhu couldn't help but ask, a touch of resentment in his voice. He didn't know what these wonder herbs were, but everyone else in the family had one except for him. He felt a little left out. Huh, bro, don't sweat it. I've still got some, but the wonder herbs I have on hand aren't the best match for you. I know a place with a herb that'd be perfect for you. Just hang tight. If Uncle can snag it, great. If not, I'll set you up. You can only take one wonder herb, generally, or the effects will clash. It'll be useless, even harmful. We're brothers. I'll make sure you get the best. Mu-Yang clapped Wuhu on the shoulder with a grin. Wuhu was skeptical. We're family. Don't lie. I, Mu-Yang, swear to God I will never lie to Wuhu. If I do, may my favorite cousin be single for another 20 years. Mu-Yang pointed to the sky and swore solemnly. His cousin was 14. 34 wasn't too late, right? Wuhu couldn't help but snicker. Xiaoyang, your bro here's a level 29 Great Soul Master. I'm probably stronger than you, a level 22 Great Soul Master. Think before you speak. Wuhu cracked his knuckles, an evil glint in his eyes. He was awkward around girls and got tongue-tied when he tried to talk to them. If Mu-Yang cursed him like that, how would Wuhu ever find a girlfriend? Ahem, right. Bro, protect us while we take these herbs. I, Mu-Yang, have important stuff to do. Save the shenanigans for later, Wuhu. Mu-Yang then told Huolai and the others how to take the 3 wonder herbs. After that, he went to a corner of the spacious chamber, sat down, and pulled out the Wangchuan Qiu Shui Du. He held the Wangchuan Qiu Shui Du in front of him and tilted it slightly. A few drops of the transparent, dew-like liquid dripped into his mouth. As soon as those drops left the plant, the entire thing withered and turned to dust in his hands in an instant. Mu-Yang then launched Taiyin God Refining and started refining the spiritual energy from the herb. At the same time, Huolai and the others, except for the temporarily unemployed and depressed Wuhu, began to take their wonder herbs according to Mu-Yang's instructions. Chapter 48 Longing for the Dew. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time flew by. 3 hours had passed in what felt like the blink of an eye. The fairy herbs were taking effect. Except for Mu-Yang, who'd taken Wangchuan Qiu Shui Du, the 3 Huolai experienced noticeable changes. Huolai, after absorbing the Earth Dragon Golden Melon's fire power, now glowed with a rich, earthy yellow light. The soul power radiating from his body was incredibly dense, but with an undercurrent of explosive energy, like a volcano about to erupt. Musia, also possessing a fire attribute martial soul, seemed much calmer. She simply sat quietly, refining the herb's power. A unique fragrance, like the 8-petal fairy orchid, emanated from her, and a faint white mist swirled around her skin. The already beautiful figure and face were made even more radiant by the mist. Nearby, Wuhu was bathed in red light as she refined the Coxcomb Phoenix Sunflower. Aside from the red glow and her dark red hair turning golden red, Wuhu's body hadn't changed much, but her Hokage martial soul had materialized behind her. The once orange-red and somewhat ethereal Hokage martial soul was now engulfed in blazing golden-red flames. Like a figure immersed in fire, the golden-red flames roared 10 feet high, nearly scorching the quiet room's ceiling. Fortunately, the materials used in these rooms were not ordinary. Since Blazing Academy was full of fire attribute soul masters, all the buildings were constructed with heat-resistant materials, especially the soul fighting training ground and the residences of high-level students. Despite the intense heat and Wuhu's rising soul power, the flames hadn't burned through the ceiling yet. The temperature in the room, however, was scorching, like standing inside a furnace. Meanwhile, on the other side, Yang finished refining the Shui Bing'er after 3 hours. In his mind, the once illusory full moon had mostly solidified, becoming a waning moon like one seen only at the end of the month. According to the Taiyin God refining realm classification, Yang was in the late half-moon stage of the second realm. His mental power was now on par with most 5-ring soul kings. In other words, were it not for his lower overall cultivation, Yang would be essentially a 5-ring spiritual soul master, judging by mental level alone. Finally, the spiritual energy from the few drops of autumn water dew was completely absorbed. Yang slowly woke up and opened his eyes. The moment he did, the entire quiet room seemed to light up. Wuhu clearly saw that Yang's eyes had turned golden, emitting a dazzling light. The golden light stung his eyes, as if he were staring directly at the sun. "Damn, I'm blinded," he thought, rubbing his watering eyes. "Too bad I couldn't reach the second level of perfection," Yang thought, feeling the level of his mental power. Like soul power cultivation, progress in mental power cultivation, even with the mysterious Taiyin God refining technique, was slow and steady. Cultivation wasn't something achieved overnight, but perseverance was key. Barring some major opportunity, there was no such thing as instant progress. Taking Wang Chuan Shui Bing'er hadn't pushed him to the second level of half-moon. Perfection in Taiyin God refining. Without unexpected events, Yang figured it would be some time before he reached it, but despite that, Yang was satisfied. After all, compared to his mental power before taking the dew, he'd jumped more than 20 levels. Such a significant improvement was only possible with mental power. With soul power, there were too many restrictions. Nothing short of a fairy herb on par with a 100,000-year-old soul beast could produce similar results. Besides the mental boost, the dew also helped him develop fire eyes. Well, his version of fire eyes was the monkey version of the monkey version. They weren't very powerful, just clairvoyant eyes. To put it bluntly, of course, Yang, being a gentleman, would never use his clairvoyance for anything dishonorable. "Dude, what did you just eat?" "It almost blinded me," Wuhu said with a resentful expression. "It's a fairy herb that enhances mental strength," Yang explained. "TSK, whatever it was, your mental power must have improved a ton. So, are you gonna get a 4th soul ring that lasts for tens of thousands of years in the future?" Wuhu asked, his breathing quickening. A 10,000-year 4th soul ring wasn't just for show, it symbolized a soul master's inherent strength. The superior physical and mental strength far exceeded those of other soul masters at the same level. This edge might seem slight at first, but it would grow with each subsequent level, leading to a qualitative transformation. This change would give soul masters unmatched combat power at their level and unlock their potential. For example, if everything else was equal, a soul Douluo with the best soul ring ratio at level 89 had a higher probability of becoming a 9-ring title Douluo than one whose soul ring ratio wasn't optimal. Looking at all the title Douluos on the continent, those at level 95 or higher all had the best possible soul ring configuration, and those who didn't, even if they became title Douluos, were considered weak. Not only would their strength be lacking, but their soul power would also plateau. Then again, if they couldn't even achieve the best soul ring ratio and still reach the 9-ring title, did that reflect extraordinary talent? "Shilong, Ci Shui, is this kid implying something about us?" "Easy, easy," Yang said with a smile and a wave. "A 10,000-year 4th soul ring. Wasn't that standard for a Douluo traverser?" "Basic stuff, nothing to see here." Wuhu. "Easy. If you really had a 10,000-year 4th soul ring, I doubt you could keep it to yourself." Chapter 49, Shadow of Phoenix Fire, Part 1. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Yang wasn't sure what Wuhu was thinking. He had, however, wondered if his 3rd soul ring, which surpassed other soul masters' 4th, and his 10,000-year 4th soul ring were too flashy. Should he sacrifice his advantage and settle for mediocre 3rd and 4th rings? If he had some kind of cheat, one that could boost soul ring age, he'd definitely play it cool. After all, survival came first, but he didn't have some ridiculous cheat. For the sake of his strength and future potential, he couldn't just toss away this advantage. Otherwise, when he became a 9-ring title Douluo, lacking the groundwork he'd built early on, how would he amass the resources to equip his Ice Flame Holy Shadow Martial Soul with soul rings from the fiercest beasts or even god-level soul rings? Of course, Yang was confident in holding on to this advantage. Partly, this confidence stemmed from the leaked secret of whale glue. There would be plenty of genius soul masters flaunting super soul rings, so he wouldn't stand out too much. More importantly, he'd soon have a serious backer. A measly 10,000-year fourth soul ring would be nothing then. Taking whale glue to improve my physique, true. Refining a head soul bone to boost mental strength, false. Why wouldn't I have a 10,000-year fourth soul ring? While head soul bones are precious, with a title Douluo's backing, the weak wouldn't dare to even glance at him, and the strong? Unless it's confirmed to be a high-age head soul bone, they wouldn't give him a second thought. Before he knew it, over an hour had passed. The golden-red flames on Wuhu's Naruto martial spirit flared up a bit, then gradually receded. When the flames fully condensed, the orange-red Naruto martial spirit had become golden-red, with a phoenix pattern etched between the brows of the golden-red, human-shaped phantom. Whoa, that feels amazing, Wuhu sighed as she opened her eyes, realizing she felt better than ever. Sis, enough sighing. I think you need a shower ASAP. Yang muttered, eyeing the dried black grime on Wuhu's exposed skin. Coxcomb Phoenix Sunflower had a decent rebirth effect. While Wuhu was talented, she was still within its effective range. As Wuhu absorbed the fairy herb's power, the medicinal force stimulated her body, pushing out tons of black gunk, like the protagonist's marrow cleansing in a fantasy novel. Huh? Oh. Wuhu stammered. Noticing the black grime on her arms and legs, she shrieked and bolted out of the room, covering her face. Seriously, keep it down. Yang whispered towards Wuhu's retreating form, glancing at Huolai and Xia, who were still absorbing the herb's power. High-level soul masters usually refine energy faster than lower-level ones. You'd think Huolai and the others would finish before Wuhu, but not this time. It's not that the theory was wrong, it's that the fairy herbs were loaded with medicinal power. Wuhu had only absorbed a fraction, the rest lying dormant in her body. Huolai and Xia, on the other hand, were an 8-ring soul Douluo and a 7-ring soul saint, capable of absorbing most, if not all, of an herb's power, making the process longer than Wuhu's. Bro, looks like there'll be a while. Let's head upstairs and wait. Seeing their spirit power steadily climbing, Yang said to Wuhuang. Sounds good. Wuhuang agreed. An hour later, Wuhu, freshly changed, returned to the living room. Just a shower. Took her an hour. Women, am I right? Wuhuang grumbled under his breath. Soul masters have better hearing than regular folks. Though quiet, Wuhu still caught Wuhuang's remark. What did you say? Wuhu asked, her smile vanishing, replaced by a glare. She'd been in a great mood, too. A death stare, no less. Wuhuang's face turned serious. I was praising my sister's growing beauty. He said quickly. He struggled to hold a conversation with girls, but Wuhu was different. She was his sister, whom he'd spoiled since childhood. He'd complimented her more times than he could count, and this compliment wasn't just flattery. Coxcomb Phoenix Sunflower had genuinely improved Wuhu's figure and skin. Humph. I'll let it slide this time. Xiaoyang, show me your Ice Flame Holy Shadow Martial Soul. Wuhu huffed, then turned to Yang, confused. Yang summoned his Ice Flame Holy Shadow Martial Soul anyway. His soul power surged, an ice blue light flashed, and an ice blue humanoid phantom exuding biting cold emerged behind him. Wuhu released her martial soul as well, closing her eyes to sense it carefully. Ha! I knew it. My Hokage martial soul evolved. Wuhu exclaimed after a long moment, beaming. Before taking the Coxcomb Phoenix Sunflower, Yang had shown her his Ice Flame Holy Shadow Martial Soul. Though she hadn't released her own at the time, Wuhu had felt her Hokage martial soul suppressed. In Douluo continent, if there's a significant gap between martial souls of the same type or related, the stronger martial soul will suppress the weaker one, the suppressed martial soul can't unleash its full power. The greater the gap, the stronger the suppression. For example, an ordinary hammer martial soul master fighting a clear sky hammer master is practically helpless, even if their soul power levels are the same. The fact that the Hokage martial soul was suppressed by the Ice Flame Holy Shadow martial soul meant that even the top quality Hokage wasn't a match for the Ice Flame Holy Shadow martial soul, but now things were different. After taking the Coxcomb Phoenix Sunflower, Wuhu didn't know how much her martial soul had evolved, but since she no longer felt suppressed by Mu Yang's Ice Flame Holy Shadow martial soul, it was clear that her martial soul's quality had drastically improved, possibly even to the point where it could suppress the original Huiying martial soul. Chapter 50, Shadow of Phoenix Fire, Part 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You didn't know that, Mu Yang asked, a little speechless. After dismissing his Ice Flame Holy Shadow martial soul, he thought Wuhu was about to do something impressive, but it was just about this. Seriously? It's your martial soul. Shouldn't you know if it evolved? Hee. Well, it is my martial soul, but it doesn't look that different, Wuhu said with an awkward smile. The only real changes were the color, from orange-red to golden-red, and a new pattern at the center of the shadow's forehead. Otherwise, it looked just like her old Naruto martial soul, leaving her unsure. She's such a space cadet. Mu Yang thought to himself, evolving a martial soul isn't just about a drastic visual change. Sure, most evolved martial souls look different, but it's not a hard and fast rule. Plenty of martial souls have improved in quality without a major facelift. Take Zhu Zhuqing, for example. Before she used the Narcissus Jade Muscle Bone Immortal Herb, her martial soul was the Nether Spirit Cat. Afterward? Still the Nether Spirit Cat. Visually, there wasn't much difference, less, even, than when she added a soul ring, but there's no doubt the Immortal Herb boosted Zhu Zhuqing's Nether Spirit Cat into a top-tier agility-based beast martial soul. The original Nether Spirit Cat wasn't bad, but it was just shy of being top-tier, a leader amongst the rest. Besides, you can't compare her Hokage martial soul to his Ice Flame Holy Shadow martial soul. The fact that her Naruto martial soul went from orange-red to golden-red definitely meant it had evolved. Xiao Wu, try summoning a flame. I think its power should be way up, Wuhuang suggested. He could tell the evolved Naruto martial soul radiated a much more intense heat, with a faint sense of nobility to it. Wuhu nodded and channeled her red soul power. A golden-red flame appeared in her palm. Sis, why does your fire feel so noble? Is that, like, bootleg phoenix fire? Mu Yang blurted out, looking at the flame and then at the phoenix pattern on the golden-red figure behind her. Besides just exploding, some flames have special qualities, sacred angel flames, fire dragon flames, etc. But noble flames? That's phoenix fire, pure and simple. Combine that with the phoenix pattern on her evolved Naruto martial soul, and you could bet this golden-red flame was phoenix fire, the result of the Naruto martial soul combining with the Coxcomb Phoenix Sunflower, but phoenix fire on Wuhu's martial soul. Something about it felt off to Mu Yang. Phoenix fire is phoenix fire. What do you mean, bootleg? Wuhu snapped. If you've got nothing nice to say. Bootleg? He was the bootleg one. Ahem. Listen up, you two. I have a big announcement. Wuhu cleared her throat, speaking loudly. Yeah, sis, tell us. Mu Yang nodded, playing along. I've decided. From now on, my martial soul is called Phoenix Fire Shadow. It's the Fire Shadow martial soul that can unleash Phoenix Fire. She puffed out her chest, looking proud. Mu Yang said, hee, catchy name. Wuhuang agreed, yeah, Xiao Yang's right. Hey. Can you two at least try to sound sincere? Wu's face fell. She put a hand on her hip and pointed at them. Sincere? Come on, sis, cut him some slack. Your little bro hasn't learned to brown nose yet. Xiao Wu, you know I'm not good with words. Be nice. Okay, that's it. You think I'm a pushover, huh? Well, you just wait. When I get my third soul ring in a couple days, I'll take you both on. And I'll give you a handicap. Wuhu declared, clearly miffed, pushover, huh? So, you admit you're a tigress, Muyang thought, of course, he kept that to himself, not wanting to rock the boat. Xiao Wu, you're getting your third soul ring in 2 days. Weren't you just level 28? Wuhu Shuang asked, surprised. He was only a level 29 Great Soul Master, and he was a year older. Wuhu Shuang knew his sister's talent was slightly better. But, still. He only had a 1-year advantage, and she was already surpassing him. Wuhu nodded. The coxcomb sunflower evolved my martial soul and gave me a massive soul power boost. I think I gained at least 2 levels, but it might be more. I'm stuck at level 30 because I haven't gotten my third soul ring yet. That martial soul evolution and soul power surge were why Miss Wuhu's bathing and changing took a full hour. She was a little preoccupied with her new self-image. Xiao Yang, you ate an immortal herb, too. Why didn't your soul power skyrocket? Wuhu Shuang asked, confused. My herb was a little different. It doesn't directly increase soul power. Mu Yang paused. Then he turned to Wuhu. Sis, you're probably going to be at least level 35 when you get your third ring. Based on what happened to Ma Hongjun in the books, Wuhu could expect at least a 5-level jump from the coxcomb phoenix sunflower, and thanks to the whale blubber, Wuhu's body was strong enough to handle a third soul ring that's over 5,000 years old, the soul power gained from the ring, plus the power from the sunflower. Level 35 was a safe bet. Mu Yang even thought he might be lowballing it. 36 or even 37 was possible. Wuhu's eyes widened. Really? She asked skeptically. Nah, just kidding. Mu Yang deadpanned.